And a very good afternoon and welcome to the Premier Sports Campus in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, between Sarasota and Bradenton for the 2019 United States Australian Football League National Championships. This is Division 1 Pool B Women's Action. Peter Holden from Women's Australian Rules Football Radio with you on the call on Go Live Sportscast. And joining us today, covered in the towel, that's how hot it is. It's a warm, and I put an emphasis on the word warm, welcome to Donnie Hess, Division 4 coach with the Des Moines Roosters.
How are we doing?
Great to have you on board. Of course, we do say that there is a women's program at Des Moines. You've got a couple of players there as well, and obviously trying to build something there out of the central region.
Yeah, we have 3 girls here this year. All 3 are some of our strongest girls in our team, and we actually doubled in size this year. So it was kind of nice to have 6 different girls coming out to training this year. They had to practice a lot with our guys, but I think that actually made them better.
Excellent, and that's starting to, become a nucleus of something that could hopefully grow as we talk about. As we see Minnesota win the toss, and they'll be going to the left with the slight breeze, and Portland going to the right. We talk about programs like Portland, who had 3 players 5 years ago, and now they're in Division 1. We took at the Seattle Women's, who had 6 women here, like yourselves. They had 6 women come here to the Nationals 3 years ago at this ground, and now not only are they a third-year Division 1 side, but they made the grand final last year and smashed the 6-time champions by 40 points earlier this morning.
Yeah, it just shows you how women's football has really progressed, both in Australia and here in the States. I mean, just seeing the numbers at this year's tournament is absolutely outstanding.
Indeed, and I believe and it's a bit like back home in Australia as well, that the women's growing is actually growing the men's club at the same time.
Which is always nice too, because it just helps define the clubs and helps them out either way.
And of course, and we talk about that not only on the field, but the morale of the club, off the field as well, support and extra volunteers and people who can bring in sponsors and all of that, and it helps the whole culture grow.
Yep, anything to keep those clubs viable and continuing on in the future is always a good thing.
As we wait for the umpire to hold the ball aloft and get the hooter, and he won't, because I can see over at the scoreboard there is no one over there. So there we are. Now we hear a hooter in the distance. We are underway to start this first half between Portland and Minnesota. Portland were beaten earlier by about 4 goals by New York, and as we see come away with it is Johnson Chambers moving it forward for the Minnesota Freeze. Goes towards the forward pocket, very close towards the boundary line as Parrington tried to kick around the corner. Chasing after it then, number 26 gave it across quickly, and a couple of numbers I don't have in my sheet. So it was New York that did it to me earlier, and now it's the Freeze that are doing it to me by messing up the numbers here. Georgiades, I know, has definitely got the number 1. She got knocked over, and just trying to squeeze it out of the pack might be Lindsay Steen with a shot on goal. It looks pretty good, and I think Minnesota have got there first. So the Minnesota Freeze go to 6, Portland 0. 6-0, Minnesota lead Portland, and a fast start for the Freeze.
Definitely pushed it in and continued that constant pressure. The Sockeyes just could not get it out, and a nice shot on goal.
Well, I thought signal goal. They're looking to... No, they're not doing it. They bring it back to the middle. That's what I was just pondering there for a second. Why is everyone lining up for a kick out? It's like, if the umpire signal goal, we come back to the middle.
I think there's a confusion as we were still pushing back some of the defensive players who had pushed up to the middle of the field. So.
Okay, so it's 6-2. The scoreboard's wrong here at the moment. It's got 1-7, but it's definitely 6-0. 6-0, Minnesota leading Portland as we're underway again. One out there in the ruck by Georgiades. Umpire blows the whistle and says that's holding the football. Because I know a few numbers are being messed around. I'm just trying to spot who is who. I think it might be Oha that's doing the ruck, wearing the number 14. So they go up the line. Good mark taken. They'll play on quickly. I know that's definitely not Ray Hale there wearing that number 9 as they go forward. Oh, it's a brilliant tackle. Umpire says play on. Everyone's going to jump in all over the top, and we're going to call for yet another ball up. Just a small hiccup at this tournament. No one's got the right numbers in the right order.
Yeah, sometimes things kind of change. Somebody doesn't come in, jumper gets switched up. So
as umpire blows the whistle, and once again we're going to call for a ball up. I guess one of the players that we're going to be watching for here for Minnesota, we've been talking about Georgiades has been a good player. Kathy Oha, Paige kicker as well. When she comes through the middle of the ground, is going to be an absolute demon for them. As the ball is there at the half forward flank. And once again, we're going to call for a ball up with Lucy Parrington on it. Let's put you in the coach's seat for a moment. If you're the Portland Sockeyes, you've just lost your first game against New York. You're going in a back against the wall type of game where you've got to win and maybe win by 1 or 2 goals to help that percentage out. What are you trying to talk to the team about?
Well, the biggest thing is just the nerves are out. You've played your first game. You don't have to worry about it. And you're playing a team that's coming off cold. They haven't played in the first game. So, yeah, you may have a few tired legs later in the game, but you might have a little bit more jump at the start. So just the biggest thing is just constantly put pressure on this Minnesota team who's got a lot of talent.
And taken straight out of the pack. In fact, it is Paige Kicker, I believe, in the middle. It's doing the ruck work and pushing forward. So Paige Kicker wearing the 14. Now I think Becky Kraft with the football swings it to the left-hand side and registers a minus score. So it's Minnesota 7, Portland 0. Minnesota 7, Portland 0. But the encouraging thing to see from Minnesota early on, just the way they're moving it forward and spreading as well.
Yeah, they tend to use the backhand pass to be able to look down and see the short options, and with some of the talent that they have up forward, it's very hard to stop them if they get going.
As they go out of defense, they were trying to find the player out there in Artez to try and mark the football. She goes chasing after it again, overran it. Lauren Williams goes in there for the Sockeyes. The ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds. I'm actually surprised that when they go with their kick in, they were going for possibly a smaller option and not trying to find a Simone Shepherd, where you know she's strong enough to try and take that mark and at least get you 2 kicks out of defense.
Yeah, and sometimes you can sneak a shorter player out because it's harder to find them. But most of the time, if you look at it, you want a tall option to be able to have an advantage in the contest.
Here's the kick out of the pack by the Sockeyes. It's going to be sent back from whence it came. And I think that might be Ostov that kicked it long up the line. I'll try to come through there. A bit of pushing and shoving. Umpire circling, blows the whistle, and we'll call for a ball up. As we wonder how Minnesota will go in this tournament. They had a fairly easy draw when it comes to their mid-season schedule, but they went through undefeated. So you have to give them credit for that. And of course, as we know, last year they were 1 kick away from causing the boil over of, well, the second boil over of the tournament, really. They almost looked like knocking off San Francisco. Jennifer Seas, according to our number sheet, has the football here. She'll be lining up directly in front. Creeps in, and I think she's got it. And that is a goal for the Minnesota Freeze. And they now keep the score ticking along here to 2-1-13 to Portland, no score. And also helping Minnesota, not only they got the fresher legs, but as much as it's a bit sticky, the overcast conditions is now a slightly cooler breeze.
Yeah, it's definitely you can tell that Minnesota has come very, very, very strong out of the gate, and Portland looks a little shocked. I don't know if maybe they didn't expect the talent, or just maybe Minnesota just has surprised them a little bit.
As the umpire will take the ball back in the middle of the ground. Scoreboard at the moment is 13-0. It's Minnesota leading Portland. Try to put it into the agency of Georgiadis to run onto. Georgiadis, hands and knees, still fighting for the ball. Great second efforts to see. Trying to get in there is Holly Petrie for Portland. Can't get it in there. On the bottom of the deck, Grace McBarron. And the umpire will take the ball back and we'll call for another ball up. Page Kicker to do the ruck work again. Beaten out by Simone Shepherd on that occasion. Shepherd goes in again. Couldn't get the football. Krugel trying to knock it forward. Now Shepherd. Shepherd goes to go over the hand pass, trying to find Lauren Williams, knocked away from the football. Now going there, Connor Lewis goes on the left boot, and that is out of bounds on the full. And that will be, was it on the full or did it bounce first?
I think it went out on the full. It looked like it slipped off the side of her boot and trying to center the ball to the full forward, but looks like maybe it bounced on the line.
So they're going to call it a throw in. There you go. So an opportunity now for Minnesota as the ball is thrown back into play. Pushing and shoving in the ruck. RA kick around the corner is out of bounds. That is definitely out of bounds on the full, that one.
Even one of the spectators called that one.
Almost going to get hit with the clipboard as he was walking on by. So we'll wait for the resulting free kick. And this will be taken by, well, the sheet says Ray Hale, but I don't believe it is. As they go short now. Now I think that might be Ray Hale. Well, no, it's not. It's 13's Becky Kraft.
Excellent mark there, diving down to get the ball right off her shoe tops.
Now Simone Shepherd takes the intercepting mark. Shepherd goes long and high with the kick. And seeing the ball over the boundary line and out of bounds there. I think it's Kathy Ohar wearing the number 9. Hope I'm correct. Again, the team sheet is out of whack here. bit like shooting ducks in a barrel, just trying to...
Just call Minnesota and go with
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Dear oh me. As trying to come out of it there was Carlson to move it forward. Shepherd again racks up another possession for Portland. Comes towards the wing position. Head over the football here is Madison. Sat upon. Umpire said it was fair. You can play on. Chado tried to do the work there, but C's kicked it away. Hesitation. Good tackle laid on there by Georgiadis. Hand pass out there by the 69 in Sagala. Georgiadis went again. Try to get the hands quickly to Roberts. Ball's on the deck. Squeezed out. Georgiadis again. Lost control of it. Hurry kick around the corner. Donald Lewis. Skrzyneczny comes in, trying to do the shepherding work. Now that's held without the football. That'll be a free kick. Right in front of you there, Donnie. I think a little obvious.
Yeah, but the one thing about that was so many tackles, so much constant pressure on both sides, both teams getting after the football.
And the ball's over the boundary line out of bounds. Shepherd sees it over, going with Georgiadis on that occasion. As we wait for the ball to be thrown back into play. We're between centre wing and half forward here for the Portland Sockeyes. Machado brought it down. Shepherd goes through. Had a jumper pull, but got it away, the hand pass. Now to Parrington, who unloads. Helicopter punt going forward. Georgiadis had it, dropped it. Harassing the opponent. Bounce off the chest of the player who saw the ball go over the boundary line and out of bounds. Jennifer Sees.
Good to see Portland finally pushing up into the forward half of the 50. Let's see if they can maybe put something on the scoreboard.
Be a morale booster if they can get one into the breeze. As Shepherd now gives it off to Machado. A kick. I think that's Rahal now on the back line, who's come charging through and kicked it up the line. Now finding Carlson. Carlson with the football on the right boot, going up the line, over the head, bouncing football. And the ball almost goes over and out. Umpire said there's a push in the back. Free kick to Minnesota. Kathy O'Hara, I think it is with the 26 now, goes quickly. Intercepted, taking it off the deck by Parrington. Draws the player, goes the hand pass over the tops to Roberts. Roberts lost it. Kathy O'Hara goes again. They get the hurry kick away, came in board, maybe held without it there, Carlson. And O'Hara then goes quickly towards the wing. Couple of bounces over and out. We'll call for a ball in.
A little pooching kick there just to get it out of all the pressure and rolls out of bounds.
Now, of course, again, if you're in that coaching position, and we talked about how Portland need to get that win to stay alive in the tournament, at what point of this, because you're down 2 goals halfway through the first half, what point do you start moving the magnets, getting to gamble stage, saying, right, we need to really roll the dice now?
Well, I definitely think you need to look. You need to look at where maybe your matchups are strong. Maybe take somebody from the midfield and push them back just to kind of give you a little bit of repel and be able to repel the ball out of the back a little bit. But you know he's definitely taking a look to see if he can make any changes he can now, just so then at halftime he's got them all set and ready.
Parrington moves forward. Georgiadis picks it up. Dances around one, got caught by the second, but got the hand pass away before Weaver claimed to move forward. O'Hara lays the tackle. They all waited, thought it was a whistle. The umpire said, don't look at me. They played on. Going in there is Simone Shepherd. Rolled over there. The umpire said it's all fair. And we'll once again call for a ball up.
A very nice little section here. Portland keeps continuing to repel Minnesota. They get to about the 50-meter line, and then they push it right back into the center of the field.
As we come back into the middle, as you mentioned, Cooper coming across to lay the tackle. The umpire says in the back. Free kick to Portland. So now they need players to push forward, but you can see the Portland players are kind of gashed.
Yeah,
there's no one really leading.
So much energy used in those tackle contests. The biggest thing is can you find a way to find that little bit of extra push?
I assure you the pink person there was a runner, not a streaker on the ground, as a hurried hand pass out by O'Hara, close towards the boundary line. Georgiadis goes for the hand pass. There's trouble! And the umpire says too high for that front-on contest. It was a bit of a soup Nazi there. It was no soup for you. And the umpire stepped in and says that's quite unfair. And a free kick going the way of Minnesota player who's feeling...
I think she may have a blood roll here.
No, she's trying to run the wrong way, and they say go off. They were going to encourage her to go off the ground that way, but no, they're going to send her to the long way to the bench. She can be replaced immediately by another player, so they're just waiting for someone. They're not even ready on the Minnesota bench to send someone on. Now they do. Of course, for those watching at home, watching Australian football for the first time, we do have a blood rule. So immediately, if you're bleeding or you have blood on your jumper, you must go off the ground. And if there is blood on your jumper, you must change to another jumper. As Shepherd goes up the line. And sliding to take the mark is Machado. As we were talking about off air earlier, one of the few players to be wearing a helmet.
Excellent effort there, diving, getting on down on the knees and catching it just before it hits the grass.
Almost came in our direction and almost a mark to Kat Hogg, who was just waiting there on the boundary line with her on camera watching a player. Disappointed there, Kat. Could have marked that one. That was yours. Has kicked up the line. Mark taken here. Johnson, that's Paige kicker. Paige unloads on the right. Look at the boot. Look at that kick. As they go. The only thing about Minnesota as this tackle comes in, umpire says it's going to be in the back and a free kick, is they're just a little bit short of midfield talent. Where you go for someone like a Paige kicker, you would love if there was another ruck or another tall, that Paige would be playing something like a centre half forward.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have that skill and that ability there, but unfortunately, sometimes with women's football, it's hard to find a lot of girls with height that you can teach the skill to be able to do it. So sometimes you have to put your best talent in situations where they may not have the greatest impact, but at least you have the ability to affect the play.
As the pass is onto the forward line, it didn't quite stick, flying through the air. Becky Kraft couldn't quite hang on to it. I'll tell you a joke about Kraft, it'd be cheesy, as the ball is now locked in. The umpire comes in and we'll call for a ball up. As we'll throw the ball in the air, 13-0, 13-0, Minnesota leading Portland. Umpire calls play on, and I think he'll ask for the ball back in a second because it's right on the bottom of the deck. Oh, it did squeeze out in the end. Georgiadis is supposed to pick it up, caught immediately by Weaver. Ball squeezes out again, and we're away to the races. Parrington is pulled down. And the umpire said, Carlson, fair tackle, but it came out okay. And Georgiadis will try and run on the football. Immediately dispossessed. Close towards the boundary line and doesn't quite go out. Simone Shepherd gets the football back. Swings around on the right. Gains 40 with the kick coming inboard. Taken by Paige Kicker, who takes them on. And Paige runs to 49. She unloads towards the top of the goal square. The breeze is taking it away to the left. And it'll be an easy mark in defence. Might be Ollie Petrie, I think, might be back there in defence, who now unloads in the Parrington direction. Parrington behind, tried to do the body work to get O'Hare out of the way. Calling for it back here, Osthoff. And her kick was off, line. And we'll call for a free kick.
One of those many moments you wish you had a left foot.
As we wait for Lauren Williams to kick the ball back into play for Portland. They called, oh, she's dropped that. Umpires missed it. And the hurry kick out here behind the Sockeyes as far as Machado, what a mark!
Great concentration after that bounced off her knee.
Cue the circus music. That was a juggling act. As she kicks it forward, went flying over the head there of Osthoff. Good bump laid on, knocking Weaver out of the way. Miscuing the kick there is Dawson. Georgiadis with a hand pass. Looks for the 1-2 back. Miscue. Georgiadis goes in again. There's the left boot. Helicopter kick. Just Gesnechny. No 15 play on. So Schnitz has to kick hurriedly. Does up the line. Smacked away by Ray Hale. Now coming in there is Osthoff. Caught against the boundary line. Ball is over and out. And we will call for a boundary throw in. I think one credit to Portland, the pressure's gone up. Minnesota's scoring has stopped, but they're just struggling to get reward for effort.
They've got everything great to the midfield, but they just can't seem to find a hold the possession enough to get it past the midfield.
Paige Kicker went dancing through there, got her kick going forward. Machado hands and knees out to Parrington, who had time to wait and assess options. Parrington with a flat mongrel punt going forward. Going to be intercepted here by Osthoff, who got on the right boot. Went up the line. Now Machado received the back. Oh, throw! Well, I thought it was a fair hand pass. Umpire blindsided?
Maybe. Either that or one of those situations where he didn't see the fist hit the ball, so he thought it was a throw.
Either that or I'm wrong, and you can watch it back on the live stream and go, nah, you were wrong.
Nobody's ever perfect.
That's why I like calling on radio. No one can see. I just have to trust your word for it. Here's the kick towards the centre half forward position. Now centre half back because of a mark taken by the Portland Sockeyes by Grace McBarron. So McBarron has the footy. Defensive side of the centre square. Goes for the Parrington direction. Bounced off of her chest while under pressure from Lindsay Steen. Had to go again with a hurried kick while getting the jumper pulled, only for it to be intercepted. One step, the umpire says you had intent to play on, so you've got to do so with Madison. The kick is intercepted. Now, Ray Hale came through with the shepherding work. Osthoff. Rihanna Osthoff going. Still going off the side of the boot. Awkward bouncing ball. Now going back down the line. That was the kick courtesy of Holly Petrie. Now Fox wants to run onto it. Ran out of space, couldn't pick it up, all over the boundary line and out of bounds. So 13-0 Minnesota lead Portland here. Can you tell us what you've got coming up for the Des Moines Roosters in Div 4?
In fact, actually, unfortunately, I'm only going to stay here till halftime because we play at 2 o'clock against a team connected to the same Minnesota Freeze, Richmond, Virginia, and I think Seattle.
That's an interesting combination.
Definitely. Definitely going to be a tough game, but if we find a way to win it, we'll go into tomorrow with a chance to get to the D4 final.
Excellent. As we hear a hooter. Now, we don't know if it's this field or not. We'll wait and pause. That's the opposite field to a distance. As we see coming to ground there was Cooper, and the umpire will ask for the football back. And we'll try and reset play again about 60 metres out from goal. Bit of an interesting situation where in the men's divisions where there's 4 teams in a pool, you really don't know until late Sunday morning what your fate is, whereas the women, because it's a 16 division, as the ball goes through for a minus score, sneaks through. So 1 behind for Portland. Portland 1, Minnesota 13. Portland 1, Minnesota 13. That we kind of know by the end of today who makes the semi-final stage. But unlike, of course, the men, you only have the final. So that concludes the first half here. I know you've got to duck off very quickly. Just from what you saw from the Minnesota and Portland game for that first half, what impressed you out of the game so far?
I can definitely tell Minnesota, and I've seen them a few times this year when we've played them. They came to our 80-35 tournament, and a lot of skill and a lot of talent. But kind of agree with you is that once their midfield depth, once their first couple of guys are done, once their first couple of ladies get a little tired, they kind of run out of steam a little bit when it comes to pushing forward. But they're very talented and are definitely going to be a tough team in this division, even with New York.
So thanks you again, Donnie. I know you've got to duck off. I will be back on the other side of this break to bring you the second half of this Division 1 Pool B contest between Minnesota and Portland. It's Minnesota 13, Portland 1. Back after this. Welcome back here to the Premier Sports Campus, Lakewood Ranch, Florida, between Sarasota and Bradenton for the 2019 United States Australian Football League National Championships Women's Division 1 Pool B, where at the moment Minnesota 2-1-13 lead, Portland 1 behind. That's Minnesota 13, Portland 1. Peter Holden from Women's Australian Rules Football Radio with you on commentary on this Go Live Sportscast. We're bringing another women's game at 2 o'clock and then some more at 4 and 5. The men's game at 3 p.m. Also, Field 1 is underway on the same page. You can watch the stream of that. And the grand finals will be shown on ESPN3 from tomorrow afternoon from about 1 p.m. That's Eastern Time in the United States. Umpires pulled out a mark here to the Portland Sockeyes, and this is an opportunity for them to move it forward through Roberts. Goes inside 50, came off hands here, ball in heavy traffic. In goes a Shepherd, who almost brought down 6 players with her. Says, give me that ball! The umpire says in the end it's all locked up and we're going to call for a ball up, and that's what we'll do. Far side of the ground, trying to get in there and extract the football out. Is the number 9 there? No, it's definitely not Ray Hale. We'll wait for the ball to be thrown up in the air. Hurry little kick away there. I think Georgie's trying to get that ball out of the pack. Shepherd watches on. Umpire blows the whistle. Again, we'll call for a ball up. I think that might be, yep, Weaver on the bottom of the deck there. Shepherd does the ruck work against Kika. And look at this burst of strength through the middle of the ground. This could set up an opportunity here for Minnesota. Great strength by Becky Kraft, who got on the right boot. Payne Pagan's paddock here on the forward line. Being held without the football, Carlson. The umpire says held, pays the advantage. No, brings it back because Kraft didn't play on. Back home, of course, if Kraft had kept on playing without looking back, the umpire would say that is advantage, and she could just keep on playing and try to go for the goal. As the ball is now in the forward line, so we're just getting some information to the box as Georgiadis now goes with the hand pass, now going back from Carson now to Georgiadis, and now goes long towards the pocket. Just trying to get through traffic there, O'Hara, lost control of it. Georgiadis goes back again. And in goes Simone Shepherd. And the umpire says, I'll ask for the football back. As we throw the football up in the air, Shepherd now gets it, Georgiadis. Hand pass off, hurry kick by Lindsay Steen. Oh, what a mark on the last line. Didn't concede it through for a point. The field umpire just telling the player on the mark to come back a bit to allow some room to be kicked back into play. Parrington calling for it in the pocket. The breeze might take it away from her. 1-2, bounces ball over the boundary line and out of bounds, but it will be a throw in. So we're around about 55 metres out here from the Minnesota goal. They lead 13-1. It's strange in a way. Minnesota have dominated play, at least for the scoring opportunities. But Portland on the scoreboard really aren't out of the game. They are kicking with the breeze in this half, and if they can cause a boil over, well, that'll really throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Hand pass going backwards. Now going through and trying to pick it up there. Sees who got it across there to the number 30, who I don't have on my sheet here. They kicked it towards the forward line. And now they're going to send it back from whence it came. Parrington. Now hand pass off. Machado. Hurry, kick away. Georgiadis goes to ground. In fact, if it wasn't Georgiadis, pardon me, it was O'Hara. Now this is Georgiadis. And oh, that's dropping the football. And the umpire has called holding. Free kicked away, going the way of, well, the freeze. That is a surprise. That was, in my opinion, holding the ball every day of the week. But nonetheless, umpire's call, and that's that. This kicker goes on for a run, takes a bounce, doesn't bounce it well, gets the football back because she had space and time, then unloads, lets it right on the breeze. It will fall short of scoring. Ball is brought to ground though. Everyone's going to jump on it, and no doubt they'll call for a reset of play. Page kicker, geez, I tell you what, superstar of the side, and just when she gets the ball and kicks it forward, it's just dangerous every time she does that and really puts oppositions under pressure. Ball comes back. Opportunity here now. Going through there, Madison, for the freeze. And hand pass. Now going across there is Georgiadis. Now going across there to Seas. Kicks it towards the forward 50. And the umpire blows the whistle and we call for a ball up. We'll reset play again. Now bringing the ball down, Shepherd. Hand pass backwards. One step and a shot on goal is away to the right-hand side by Lindsay Steen. And that makes the score 14-1. Minnesota leading Portland. Minnesota 14, Portland 1. 2-2 to 1 behind. The scoreboard just hasn't changed on the manual scoreboard here at the ground, but as you'll see on your screen, 14-1. The lead of Minnesota over Portland here in Division 1. Pool B, women's side. The men's are, of course, playing at the moment over on Field 1. You can catch that on the same page that you're watching through Go Live Sportscast. Umpires off the ball has blown the whistle and said there's a free kick, and he's bringing the ball back. Going the way, looks like a Machado for the Portland Sockeyes. Got two teams out of the Pacific Northwest, when you count Seattle, both play in Division 1 but in opposite pools. Going there to take a mark and backing back to get onto it, Lindsay Steen. Steen with the football. Kicks it inside 50. Machado! Second good mark she's taken today. That's a great leap. The other one was one-handed. That one just at full stretch. Pulling that one in. Machado now goes long towards the wing position. Oh, good mark taken out there. And almost playing on accidentally. The umpire giving her the benefit of the doubt. Dawson, she just didn't know which way she was going. Dawson apparently has a creek name after her. Has, or at least a TV show. Has moves the ball out towards the wing position. Looking for originally Williams. Turned over. Minnesota sent it back from whence it came. Good mark. They have it just forward of centre. Page kicker unloads with another bomb over the head of Machado, who tried to back underneath the football. Try to kick it off the carpet there is Cabot. And oh, here's an opportunity that's opened up here for Carlson for Minnesota. She's got it. That should be the icing on the cake for the freeze. Carlson gets her first. And it's 20-1, the lead of Minnesota over Portland. Minnesota 20, Portland 1. 3-2-20 to just the one behind. Peter Holton with you on commentary. Got some more women's action coming up for you very shortly. I'll be joined by Orange Kuznechny. Snitch will join us for the next game coming up at the top of the hour between San Francisco and Denver. These teams with a long rivalry after Denver won 6 in a row, and at this very ground 3 years ago, San Francisco knocked them off to start their run of 3 national titles in a row. Both very different teams compared to when they met on this day. Well, actually this weekend 3 years ago. Umpire blows the whistle and says, I'll ask the football back for a ball up. And just takes the football back. Throws it high in the air. One down. Going through there is Parrington. And she didn't hear the footsteps are coming. And she got mown down. Free kick the way of Carlson for the freeze. So now with the football near the 2 centre circles. Gets going on the right boot. Up the line. Juggled off the chest. Machado goes in there. Machado did well. Only as far as Paige Kicker, who said, I'm going to send it back from whence it came. Express post. And her kick, though, was trying to find Georgiadis, intercepted by Holly Petrie. Petrie now swings towards the broadcast side position. Machado under pressure from Oha. Steen came through. Went to try the don't argue, but she got caught. G-O-N-E gone. Free kick going the way of Weaver. And Weaver will now, from the halfback flank, try and create something here for Portland. Oh, that's a wobbly old woeful kick. Trying to go too short to Williams. It was never on. Machado goes up the line, looking for Kuznechny. Kuznechny over around the football. kicker goes through. Pin, she's gone, surely. No, the umpire said no opportunity. As you heard from a distance, someone screaming out. She was dancing with it. Going in is Shepherd. Now the long kick by Steen up the line. Oop, and swallowing the ball there. Dietrich just got underneath that, almost dropped it, but managed to pull it in on the second grab. In the women's direction, Simone Shepherd. Just put a stamp on the football. Shepherd looks far up the ground, wanting options. Unloads on the right, going in the Parrington direction. Got out the back. Lucy Parrington takes the mark. She's 50 metres out from home. Distance will test her. Lucy Parrington, former vice-captain of Australia in ice hockey, with the big mop of hair, looks to find an option or set sail for home. She has to go for distance. Machado is there, rejected, knocked out of her hands by Georgiades. Oha goes in there, can't get the footy, and it squeezes out close to the boundary line and goes over and out. So wait for the ball to be thrown back into play. Umpire throws the ball back in. Machado almost threw it there, got the hand pass out. Kick around the corner. Parrington trying to bust a gut at full speed, but the boundary line beat them and the ball goes over and out. And we'll call for a throw in. As Rucks nominate. Shepherd versus kicker. Shepherd brings it down close towards the boundary line. Georgiades with a hand pass over the top. Monka middle there. Shepherd pulled down, maybe a little high. That's an arm over the shoulder. Umpire says no, takes the football back. Umpire throws the football up in the air and away we go again. We'll call for a throw in. We wait for the Rucks to nominate. They don't, and he just allows it to play on either way. Yeah, oh, maybe trip there is Shepherd in the back. And no, holding the ball. Gone is Oha. And a free kick going the way of Livia Artez. Livia Artez decides to go with a hurried hand pass. Now to Williams on the left boot. Got a player all by herself waiting there in the pocket, Rebecca Dawson. Dawson, tough angle with the breeze, and that's a flat mongrel punt, and that is... might have even clipped that point post as it gone out, and it will be a throw in. Score check, Minnesota 20, Portland 1. 3 goals to 20, Minnesota 1 behind Portland. 19-point margin here. Minnesota will be registering their first win, and for Portland it'll be, at this rate, 2 losses, and they'll be into the 5th versus 6th playoff on Sunday morning. Hurry kick around the corner. Now trying to squeeze it out there, Madison, formerly Tobias. Now here's a shot on goal and marked on the line. McBarron just couldn't get enough juice on the kick or height. And they'll run it out of defence. Draws the player. Goes up the line. Came off hands. Edison nearby there for Minnesota. Kicks it long towards the boundary line for Georgiades to try and chase down. Wraps up her opponent. And umpire blows the whistle and asks for the football back. Of course, later on today, Minnesota will play New York. And that battle, no doubt, will be for top seeding. The top of Pool B plays the second side in Pool A, and vice versa. Top side Pool A plays the second side in Pool B. So it'll definitely be a game where many would suggest on form that the winner of New York and Minnesota will avoid San Francisco in a semi-final if things go to as predicted. Right on the top of the goal square here, maybe a little high around the neck. Yes, the umpires suggest that's so. That will be a free kick to the Portland Sockeyes. And Simone Shepherd, who'll be directly in front. This should be bread and butter for her. From 15 metres out. She'll reduce the margin, but time is a worry here for the Sockeyes. King towards left of screen with a strong breeze behind her back. Simone Shepherd just pops it through. Goal for the Portland Sockeyes. That one to Simone Shepherd. So the score is now 20 for Minnesota, 7 for Portland, 20-7. Minnesota lead Portland. Manual scoreboard at the ground hasn't changed because I think the guys have fallen asleep or they're just reaching for their siren. 13-point margin here, Minnesota leading Portland by. You can see the players walking back to the centre. I'd suggest probably more the Portland players out of anything are out of gas after a very hot morning that they had when they played New York here. And you can watch that game back by staying on this page here at Go Live Sportscast. As umpire throws the ball up and away we go again. They need a fast break out of the middle here, Portland, and almost got it, but the hand pass didn't stick. Williams kicks it off the carpet. Immediately caught with the football there. It was Annabelle Perry, and the umpire said had no prior opportunity and will call for a ball up. Reset play between centre and centre half forward. One out there by Machado. Knocked it to advantage. Sent back by Madison. Working it sideways, looking for Kathy Mullen. He plays on. Shanked the kick. Players still fighting in hard for the football. Rolled over. And I reckon it might just squeeze out. No, the umpire's just blown the whistle now and said we'll call for a ball up. So we reset play again. One out on that occasion by kicker. Now Simone Shepherd goes long. Up the line, bouncing football. Goes inside 50 here. I like to do the shepherding Wingston trying to pick it up there as Curtis will have to do so. And now gets on the right. Goes up the line. Oh, bounced off the chest there of one Simone Shepherd. Swinging around. There's the kick there by Shepherd. Long and high. The ball almost going over the boundary line and out of bounds. And the ball now will do so. And we'll call for a throw in. 55 metres out from the Portland goal, attacking left of screen. They put in a brave effort, but as we mentioned this year, losses of Serpico to Texas and Blecker is in Australia. That just weakened their side a little bit and probably took away a bit of run and carry and a bit of firepower that they needed up front. Got a lot of raw players here, Portland. They just need a little bit of cream of the crop to try and help them along. But their endeavour has been excellent. Their pressure has been good over the two games they've played so far today. One step kick up the line and a good mark, Machado. Brandy Machado took it on the chest and she'll be lining up from about 25 metres out, tight angle, to try and reduce the margin to 7 points. Lets it right on the breeze and it's away to the left-hand side for just the point. So Minnesota 20, Portland 8. That's Minnesota 20, Portland 8. At the USAFL Nationals Women's Division 1 Pool B Premier Sports Complex, Lakewood Ranch, Florida. Or should I say Premier Sports Campus, between Sarasota and Bradenton. As we wait for the ball to be brought back into play. They run and go for a long kicker. That's a long bomb. Straight over the head there of Williams, who tried to send it back from whence it came. Williams wanted to go for a second crack at it, does so, pulls down her opponent. That's Lizzie Eben now to pump up the line. Actually, it's Curtis rather, who did to pump up the line. And now it's all wrapped up. And the umpire will call for the ball back. We'll reset play again right here on the logos, right in front of our broadcast position. One out on this occasion. by Shepherd. The hand pass off. Now the kick up the line and a mark by Machado. Brandy Machado is on centre wing. Unloads on the right boot. Awkward kick. Now the umpire's just throwing their hands in the air saying play on, play on. A kick out of that contest there by Madison. Simone Shepherd tries to get there. The hooter sounds, and that is full time. In Women's Division 1, Pool B, Minnesota 3-20, defeating Portland Sockeyes 1-8. The Freeze 20, Portland 8. A 2-goal victory there to the Minnesota Freeze, and that will guarantee them a spot in the semi-finals. They will now play New York later today to decide who gets first seed and who gets second seed ranking. For the Portland Sockeyes, due to their 2 losses, they are eliminated from being able to play in the semi-finals tomorrow. They will be guaranteed a spot in the 5th versus 6th playoff, and that opponent to be decided a little bit later. In fact, Denver are coming up against San Francisco very shortly, and should Denver lose to San Francisco, then it will be a Portland v Denver 5th versus 6th game tomorrow. That is all locked in. Looking through some of the better players for today's sides for Minnesota. Again, excellent work by Georgiadis, picking up a lot of the football. O'Hart there for support. Paige Kicker, geez, when she goes down the middle, she really does rip them open. We've seen the likes of Becky Kraft trying to create something up for Lindsay Steen showed patches. Jennifer Sees, who kicked a goal in that first half there, did very well. For the Portland Sockeyes, you have a look at some of their players. Weaver try to keep going. Simone Shepherd does Simone Shepherd things. Brandy Machado just grew and grew as the game went on, and was better when she didn't go one-on-one with Kicker and try to work away from her. Parrish is probably a little bit quiet there in that second half, but really good there in the first half. But at the end of the day, just too much winners for Minnesota, too much run and carry, too much kicking power from Paige Kicker. Portland did try and put up a fight. They were scrappy, they were good. They probably turned possession their way in the second half, but as we talked about beforehand, they're just missing that creme de la creme of run and carry or forward options up front to really make an impact, and something that they'll no doubt be working on through their 2020 campaign. Time to wrap things up for this game. Coming up at the top of the hour at 2 p.m, we will be bringing you the game between the San Francisco Iron Maidens and the Denver Bulldogs. That is next right here on Go Live Sportscast. Don't go anywhere.